great. Good to meet you, Catherine. With the National Critics' Choice.
Pardon?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming.
Yes, over at the National Critics' Choice, and we have this book that you have released. It's called "Yes, I Will Love Another Glass of Tea."
Right, not a cup of tea, a glass of tea.
Yeah. So, um, what was your inspiration behind it? Creating this wonderful book.
Thank you. The inspiration behind it was I have a very dear friend who lives in Kayseri in Turkey. He is a famous writer himself. His name is Muhsin İlyas Subaşı. And one day I was with him and he said, you know, Catherine, I think you should write down many of the you should write down what you've seen in Turkey in a book. And I said to myself, this man is completely crazy. No one would care to hear what I have to say. But afterwards I started thinking that perhaps he did have a point, because since I'd been coming to Turkey for over 30 years, I had seen a great change, evolution. I'd seen many things in this country. I just didn't come once as a Turkey as a tourist with impressions on a one-term basis. I've had a very long and extended experience with Turkey. So I started to think about, maybe he's right. And then Lady Mary flashed into my mind, and I began to think of her and her writings about Turkey and how they had influenced me. So I decided to put together a book where I would give very positive, answer her back about many of the same issues that she talked about in her letters, but also provide me the opportunity to write a very positive book about Turkey. I think it's so easy to criticize. It's so easy to always see the bad points of anything. You pick up the newspaper in the morning, and you know this. You're a journalist. There's always sometimes some very critical stories, and I wanted to write something that was a little more positive and life affirming. So that's why in this book I relate many stories that showcase the spirit of the Turks in all the positive aspects that I can. So that's basically what this book, the inspiration for the book. And the more I began to think about what my friend had told me, I realized that I could write this book for two reasons. The first one would be to thank Turks, or Turkish public, to thank them for the many kindnesses that they have shown me over the past 30 years. But also, I wanted to inform Americans about Turkey. Americans, unfortunately, still look at Turkey very uninformed about Turkey, or very ill-informed about Turkey. So I thought perhaps if I wrote a very positive and easily accessible book about Turkey, that would be one step to understanding that Muslim countries are not all bent on ill will. And so that was the second motivation for writing the book, was to explain Turkey to my colleagues, to my citizens.
Tell us, what is Turkish tea?
What is Turkish tea?
Yes, you came up with this title, "Love Another Glass of Tea." And is there a difference between the cultural affection, between teas in the West as well as the way they treat teas in Turkey?
I mean, every culture, there's many cultures around the world that have very distinct tea cultures. You think of England, you think of Korea, you think of Japan, many cultures. In Turkey, it's a very different culture. It's less ceremonious. You drink tea all day long, which you don't do in most other cultures. The shape of the glass is unique in the world. It's a very different kind of glass. And I think to me it's a symbol of Turkey, because it's just ever present. It's always flowing. It's very warm. It's very easy to drink. It's not an expensive drink, and everyone drinks it. In my culture, not everyone drinks Coca-Cola. So, but this is one drink that unites the entire country. So it was a small symbol that I chose to illustrate the warmth and the spirit of the Turkish people.
And why tea? Why is tea so much worshipped in Turkey?
Why is it so worshipped? You'd have to ask that of a Turk. I think it's because it's a very ubiquitous and inexpensive and easily accessible way for them to incorporate a pause into their life, to incorporate a way to have a moment of stability in their life.
So, was there one moment where there was a absolute culture shock when you first introduced to Turkish tea when you begin writing this book?
With Turkish tea, no. I tried to remember and absolutely did remember when my first tea was given to me. On my first trip to Turkey in 1978, I was walking down the sidewalk in Istanbul, and I passed in front of a fire station. And I stopped and looked at the fire station because it resembled so much a fire station in America, and I was surprised at the similarities. And there were a group of firemen that were outside sitting down and having a tea, and they saw me and they said, "Oh, would you like to come over and have a glass of tea with us?" And I, of course, said yes. I don't know if I would have done that in my own country, but when you're a tourist, you're a lot more. When you're traveling, you're a lot more open to things. And that was my first. That was my first tea. I don't think it was a culture shock, but it was my first access into this whole culture of drinking tea among friends and just in the middle of your day drinking tea. I could never do that in my work. It would not be allowed, so to speak. So, but there was never any culture shock with Turkey. I relate a chapter in this book, which is called I'm at home there. I always feel very home in Turkey because Turkey does resemble America in many ways. Turks are very open, Turks are very smiling, very different than Europeans, and I have lived in both cultures, and when I go to Turkey, I feel much more like I'm at home.
Well, Catherine, if there's one advice for anyone going to Turkey, what would that be?
I think the best would be to let all of these wonderful experiences that happen to you. The Turks want to come to you. They want to get to know you. They want to see who you are. And I think just to be open to have any kind of gesture given to you and not be suspicious of it. Just take it on its face value as two human beings interacting and enjoy the experience.
Will there be maybe a future plans for another book, maybe on Turkey?
Yes, I'm currently it's in publication now. I've written a novel about Turkey. Hopefully, it will be released at the beginning of 2013. We have to translate it, so it's taking a bit of time. I'm currently working on another book on Turkey. So, as a follow-up to Yes, I Would, a part of me would like to write a book about the reactions that I've had to this book. Have been quite extraordinary. I received so many letters from both Turkish Americans, and Turks and people living abroad, Turks living abroad, that have been just amazing. And I would love to share them as well with others.
Well, Catherine, thank you for spending time with us at the National Critics' Choice, and we hope to see you very shortly with your new book.
Thank you very much, Robin. It's been a pleasure.